Good evening, friends, and welcome to yet another awesome session of Mindful Living. We truly appreciate your taking out the time and joining us for this session on this weekend. All the sessions of Mindful Living are guaranteed to improve your quality of life. And your joining the session today is a clear demonstration of your intention to learn about emotional freedom technique and improve the quality of your life. If you are indeed here for learning about EFT and elevating your life to the next level, please type LE in the chat box. Learning about EFT and elevating your life to the next level. If that's the intention for your joining the session, please type LE. Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you, Hassan Ali. Thank you, Anupam. Thank you, Purnima. Friends, please be actively. Would you like to be active this session to be highly interactive, or would you like to be a passive listener? If you would, thank you, Ravi. If you would like this session to be interactive, please type I in the chat box. Highly interactive. Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you, Hassan. Let us see who else. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Jasmine. Friends, we would appreciate your active participation. And let me begin by asking you a question. Which of these bulbs is burning the brightest and which one is the dimmest? You can tell me from left to right, which is the one which is the brightest, or first, second, third, whichever one starting from left. Which one is brightest? Which one is burning dimly? The left is the brightest. Left to right. Yeah, thank you, Hassan. Thank you. Left is the bright one. Thank you, Jasmine. What else? Anybody else? All same, Swati. Okay. Thank you, Purnima. Left. Yeah, most of you have got it right. The one on the left is burning the brightest, right? Now, I'm not trying to quiz you on your engineering or technical skills, but assuming the voltage is the same for all the bulbs, what is the reason that they could be burning brightly or dimly? And no right or wrong answers. Please type in the chat. Resistance, Satish Kumar, brilliant. Wattage. Okay, thank you, Mukesh. Very good, very good. Anybody else? We are getting some interesting answers. If the voltage is the same, what could be causing the bulbs to, assume what's voltage and wattage are the same, then what is causing the bulbs to burn brightly or dimly? Capacity, wattage, okay. Wattage, filament, okay, yeah, you're kind of there. It is the resistance, the flow of electricity is lesser if there is resistance. And the same thing applies to human beings also. We all have the same body, we all have the same energy, but yet what we manifest in our lives is different. And that is because of the resistance that we offer to the universe, because of the emotional blockages that we have inside our body, which are trapped inside our body. I was discussing with Dr. Nupur a couple of days back, and I was talking about some challenge I was facing in manifesting some of the things that I'm working on. And she said, Ashish, why don't you try tapping? And I'm not new to tapping. I started tapping about 2 years back when I first learned about it from Nitya Shanti. And, I used tapping mostly for overwhelm. Have you faced a situation where there is too much of work to do and too lesser time? If you have faced that situation, type me in the chat box. when there is too much to do. Yeah, thank you, Swati. Type me, Hassan. Thank you, Hassan. If there is too much, so there are times when I get a lot of assignments, all of them are together. Thank you, Ritu. Thank you, Jasmine. All of them coming together, and I found like completely overwhelmed. And then I used to tap, and I would suddenly find that the situation is de-escalated, and then things become much better. So that is what largely I was using tapping for, till Dr. Nupur advised me to do tapping for something else that I was looking for, and I did. And something miraculous happened. Let me share that with you. Do you want to hear what happened? What miracles happened to me when I tapped for miracles? If you are open to receiving miracles, if you're open to hearing my story about miracle, type OTM, open to miracles in the chat box. If you are open to miracle. Okay, Srividya, thank you, Mukesh, thank you, Swati. Okay, thank you, Ravi, thank you, Renuka, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Naval. So, when I tapped for miracles, I was just wondering to myself, even when I was tapping, thank you, Meghna, what miracle can actually happen? But it was a miraculous day that happened. And, first I got a call from a client, from a prospect, whom we were chasing for more than a year. And the CFO of that client called and said, Ashish, we want to make the payment now. We have got the approval. However, can you give us a little discount? So I got them the discount that they wanted, and they paid 1,500 USD. As of today, that payment has been received by us. Then, the second thing that happened, please don't do these lines on the PPT. Please refrain from that. Then second, what happened is, maybe this is some other miracle happening. Then there was one person I was, following up for a meeting with, because she's an influencer and she could get a lot of business from us. She could give a lot of business to our company. And she was not like responding too much. And then she sends a mail that day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon saying that, Ashish, apologies for the delay in reverting to you. Your company has been enlisted as a preferred provider with our company, and you will start receiving the RFPs, which is request for proposal from our side. And she marked that mail to all her regional heads, introducing her to the entire company. If you're finding some of these to be wow, you can type W in the chat box. And the third one was even better. There was one person I was trying to reach out to who had blocked my phone number, and I was not able to get through to him. And he called, on his own and said, Ashish, I understand you were trying to reach me. I told him, of course, I didn't tell him that, okay, you have blocked my number, but I told him, yes, sir, my messages were not getting across to you. He says, okay, when can we talk? And he scheduled a meeting and then again introduced me to his entire team. So that was another thing that happened. Then I got recognized as a distinguished alumni by my college. You can check out on the link. If you're active on LinkedIn, check out my post there, post by my college there. So that happened. And another interesting thing happened. There was a friend of mine with whom my relationships had gone sour. You can continue typing wow in case you're finding this to be interesting. And he called up in the evening and said, you have just forgotten about me, and and he revived the conversation which had gone completely cold. So these were some very fantastic things happened all during the course of one day. And this is a miracle, and this is a miracle, not like a woo-woo magic, but backed by a lot of science. And that is the reason we have Dr. Nupur talking to us about EFT today, because Dr. Nupur brings a lot of science. She's a medical doctor who brings a lot of science to these techniques. And she will share with you all the science behind EFT and how this is being used for releasing emotions and releasing trapped emotions in our body, and how that helps us get better health outcomes, better relationships, and more wealth. So that's the topic of the session today. And this workshop, the session today is divided into two parts. The first 60 minutes is for those who are joining the session for intellectual curiosity, which is also good. And yeah, we'll figure out how to do that. the second part of the presentation is for those who want to take action on the knowledge and take their life to the next level. So in case you are an action taker, please type 80 in the chat box so that we know that you are here for the full 90 minutes and you want to apply the knowledge that you want to pick up today and benefit from it. Thank you, Sheetal. Thank you, Anupam. Let us see. Thank you, Hassan. Let us see who else is an action taken here. Once you apply this knowledge, thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Ravi. Once you apply this knowledge, then clearly it takes your life. Thank you, Meghna. Please keep letting your responses come in. Dr. Nupur is not a new name to mindful living. She's in fact the most popular speaker on our mindful living practice platform. She's a specialist in oral medicine and radiology who transitioned into mind-body medicine about 20 years back. She's a certified meditation teacher specializing in techniques like medical hypnosis for subconscious mind programming and has been working at a NHS hospital in London for last 5 years, offering her services to cancer and trauma patients. The work that she has been doing is path-breaking. It has been published and also won awards at the European medical conferences. So on that note, Dr. Nupur, welcome to the session.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Thank you so much. Lovely to be here. Yeah, and just a small correction, not 20 years in mind-body medicine. I'm fairly young in that space. It's been 7 years, but yes, very profound 7 years. Thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur. Thank you, Satish. We'll try and figure out how to clear these red lines. We haven't done that. Somebody has scribbled on it, so we'll figure out how to do that. If somebody knows, you can help us. We will be happy. Friends, if any one of you is joining a mindful living session for the first time, please type FT in the chat box. If you're joining our mindful living session for the first time, please type FT in the chat box. Thank you, Anupam. Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you. So a lot of you are joining our session for the first time. Allow me to take a minute to introduce myself. My name is Ashish Kumar, and I'm the founder of Mindful Living. We started Mindful Living community during April 2020 when the first lockdown happened. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation teacher, and few of my friends reached out to me and requested me to conduct sessions for them to help them with the stress and anxiety that the lockdown was causing. So over a weekend, I conducted a session for them. One thing led to the other. And today we have grown to be a vibrant community of over 3,000 people. In case you would like to be a member of this community, please click on the link that we are sharing in the chat and join this community. This is an exclusive community which you can join only by invitation. You won't see our ads anywhere. You won't, unless somebody invites you to join this community, you can't join this community. So please take this opportunity to join us. This is a very safe place. There are no good morning, good night messages, no religious political posts, and nobody judging each other. So all the conversations happen in a very safe space. People learn their experiences. People share their experiences and learn from each other. So on that note, I will invite you to join the Mindful Living community. And before I hand over to Dr. Nupur, these are few housekeeping rules. Keep your cameras on as it facilitates learning and interaction. Also, we will take the question answers during the end of the session, but you can keep engaged. You can keep shooting your questions or remarks during the session. And at the end of the session, if you have a question, raise your hand to ask the question. And if during the session, if you like something, show thumbs up or love. So on that note, over to you, Dr. Nupur.
Thank you so much, Ashish. So let's begin. Let me share what I know about this very powerful modality. It is used in clinical medicine now. This modality is used very extensively in our clinical practice for a various range of conditions and various challenges, and I will be talking to you about that. But before I start, I would like to ask you, what do you really mean by emotional freedom? What does the word emotional freedom mean to you? Because as we know, EFT is emotional freedom technique. So I'd like to really hear from you all. What does this mean to you? So please fire away some points on the chat. What do you think emotional freedom really means to you? Take a moment to reflect, and then please put it in the chat. What does that really mean to you? Okay. Not being personally impacted by one's emotions, Satish says. Feeling free within ourselves. Okay. Releasing the past luggage. Yes. Very good. And this is exactly what the concept of emotional freedom technique is. It is freeing us from our baggage. As the picture suggests, as the word suggests, it is the most liberating modality that we can practice. And the biggest point about EFT is that it empowers an individual to do it on their own. So once you learn this technique, you can apply it in literally any aspect. It's a very forgiving technique. You can use it whether you're working for financial challenges, whether you're working for emotional challenges, or whether you're working for health challenges. The biggest point is to understand that we are human beings, right? We are not just physical bodies. Now, the being aspect of us is what is connected to our emotional, our energetic, our spiritual growth. And this technique actually aims to work at the root of our beingness. Because a lot of times you must have heard this saying that the only person who gets harmed when you get angry is you, not the other person. You know, we all have been told, and I am quite confident that all of you who are present on this forum are quite aware. You are people who would like to invest time in your wellness, and that's exactly why you're spending an hour and a half on a Saturday evening, you know. So this actually goes to show that you are aware that any detrimental emotion, any difficult emotion is actually causing us more harm. And as Ashish very rightly said, I am a practitioner of a field which has come up in the last maybe couple of decades. It's called the mind-body medicine, where we integrate and we understand that our physical problems have a deeper, I would say, cause. Things are not random in the body. There is a reason why physical illness happens, because there is a dysregulation in our energy flow. There are emotional blocks. We hold on to a lot of our emotional toxicities. We think that it's not needed to work with them. We think we have processed them, but there is a part of our psyche, which is called the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind. And a lot of our emotional baggage gets stored there. And not just that, our subconscious mind is connected to our physical body, right? So it literally gets stored in our physical organs. Like if I talk about anger, anger gets stored in our physical body. A lot of times, liver is considered to be where we tend to store a lot of such toxic, angry emotions. You know, so a lot of times people say, I'm not an alcoholic, but still I'm getting a fatty liver. Well, there are so many other reasons that we need to explore if that is happening. But not to digress too much, I want you to understand this very deeply, that emotional freedom is something that is most important for our wellness. Now, this is a scale that some of you who may have attended some of my talks or my workshops may have seen, but this is a very powerful scale that was given to us by Dr. David Hawkins. David Hawkins was one of the first pioneers who actually recorded the fact that our human emotions have a vibration to them. Our human emotions are vibrating at a certain frequency, and he recorded it through a process called kinesiology. And all of that is there. If any of you want to go into the details of this, you can pick up his book, which is called Power versus Force. It's a very powerful book, very researched, and everything that Dr. Hawkins has done to give us this scale is in that book. But for us, what's most important to understand on a practical existential level is to know that every emotion that is here has a corresponding vibrational frequency, right? So when I talk about emotional freedom, the more this chart actually even further emphasizes it, because it is telling us that lower vibrational frequency emotions, like you can see shame, guilt are at a frequency of 20 to 30, right? Obviously, this is in hertz, and once you read the whole thing, you'll understand. These are not just one-off emotions. For the sake of understanding, only one emotion is written here, but there are a range of emotions like bitterness, resentment. All of that comes under this low vibration. And all of these emotions are what contract our life force energy, right? We have to understand the thing about us is we are not just physical beings, we are energy beings as well. Quantum physics is telling us that we are actually more energy and vibration than matter. So if any of you have a doubt about that, I really urge you to read about quantum physics and understanding who we are really. And the more we go deeper, we understand that we are made of cells, but the cells have something called the intracellular intracellular organelles, like we have electrons, photons, protons, and all of these are existing as more a vibration than matter, like the wave instead of matter. And some of you who have studied physics will understand that. We are more energy. So that means all these emotions are energetic vibrations. And if we have any of the lower vibrational emotions, what happens is with that, because we don't know how to release them, they tend to create blockages in energy channels or energy meridians, right? Now that's what EFT does. EFT helps us to process our buried emotions, our deeply unprocessed emotions, because we are taught in our human paradigm, we are not actually, we have asked to really dim our light. We are not taught how to feel emotions and to express emotions. We are very good at being told that, you can't be angry. Well, okay, yes, if I can't be angry, what do I do with that emotion of anger? Because it is definitely coming up. I am angry, I am feeling angry, but I've been told that I have to be nice, I have to be kind. So by no means am I saying we are not supposed to be nice and kind, but we must know how to process our emotions. Because if we don't process our emotions get solidified and they create blockages in what traditional Chinese medicine has talked about energy pathways or the meridians. Okay. Also, it comes from our own ancient Indian philosophy of chakras. So whether we're talking about the chakras, which is again an energetic field, or we're talking about energy meridians, in EFT, we are literally talking about these energy meridian and energy channels. That's why acupuncture without needles is what we could refer to in EFT. EFT is a tapping modality where we are accessing those acupuncture points, acupressure points, which are the end points of energy meridians. Now, something which I'm going to discuss with you when I discuss a little further is quite mind-boggling, because that's what research is telling us, that these energy channels are not just energy channels, right? There has been science that has been telling us that there are actually, a Korean study was done in which they injected dye in the body. And what they found out was that these energy meridians are actually channels. They are called very, very fine capillaries. They're smaller than capillaries, right? And they call it the physical vascular system, which is smaller than capillaries. So scientists have now actually discovered that when we are doing EFT tapping, which is at the end point of energy meridians, we are actually triggering certain channels inside the body itself. And they are now able to, through these injected dyes, see that these are actually some vasculature, which is finer than capillaries. Right? Earlier, we thought capillaries is the finest, but no, they have discovered these channels. So we are directly impacting those, because for the longest time, when Dr. Roger Callahan started to discover the predecessor of EFT was TFT, thought field therapy. And then, later, Greg Callahan is what who came up to talk about EFT and created that from the TFT. So that's how the progression happened. That time the science wasn't that robust. right? The science wasn't that robust. The science has caught up over a period of time. But now we were doing EFT tapping without knowing the science and the evidence behind it. But now actually in the body, you can see by injecting these dyes, as the Korean scientists discovered, that these energy meridians are actually microvascular channels. They are duct systems which exist in the body. So when we are tapping, we are actually influencing those spaces in the body. So when we are tapping, just to give you a bit of science, we are actually activating or deactivating signals in the brain, right? So when we are, so as I'm going to explain to you the tapping protocol, what are we doing in tap? We are saying certain phrases. So we tap on certain energy points and we say certain phrases. Now, these phrases are very important because these are what are either activating or deactivating signals in the brain, right? And now research has found out that when you are doing this, the changes in the brain are literally permanent. I'm going to talk about this when the studies are done. I'm going to share a few studies with you. A lot of times, when we are doing a research, we do the experiment and then we have something called the follow-up. So we tend to see after 3 months how the patients are doing, after 6 months how the patients are doing. And now a lot of times, I would say after a 6-month follow-up with EFT, there was barely any relapse. That means people who had gone through this EFT technique for various modalities I'm going to talk about, I have shown permanent improvement. That means their, the neuroplasticity, that what we call the way the brain creates neural networks, kind of changes permanently with EFT, right? For the better, right? So tapping, when we are tapping at the end point of these energy channels. So these tapping actually is generating something which we call electrical signals, right? And there's a principle how it is happening. It is happening by a mechanosensory transduction. And collagen, which is one of the very, very intense connective tissue material, is a big part of how through that there is transmission and transduction of these signals, right? Even vagus nerves gets activated. So there is a lot of science that is coming up to tell us that perhaps all of this was not available to us 2-3 years back. If 3 years back, I have been, when I was working and practicing with EFT, I could see the results, but we didn't know the science had come up because it takes time for the research to be published. But in the last 5 years, the data that has come up has been mind-boggling, right? So understand that the modality that I'm talking to you about is used in clinical practice. It is used to reduce your pain. It is used to pain medication and a lot of other medication. It is used to reduce anxiety and stress, which is one of the main things that people suffer for in this day and age, and that worsens your health conditions. So there is a lot of science to this technique, which is considered to be an energy psychology, but now we are understanding it is actually impacting at the physical level of the body. So when we are talking about EFT, we are seeing that genetic changes are happening. Genetic changes is something that means that things are getting altered at the level of your genes. Biochemistry is changing. We are actually, they say that you may go to a chemist shop, right? And it may be the best chemist shop. Most of the chemicals that a chemist shop can provide you in terms of enhancing your wellness are actually being produced inside your own body. So this is a very important thing to understand, that your human body is a source of chemical factory, literally. It produces so many chemicals. And unless we understand that, we cannot influence that. One of a chemical like that is a hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is considered to be the stress hormone. Okay, it's an important hormone. It has roles to play. But when we are in a state of chronic stress, this cortisol spike happens, and this cortisol is responsible for creating a lot of our health issues, high blood pressure, strokes, cardiovascular conditions. So all of these are considered to be lifestyle conditions, right? Because I'm sure you have all heard your doctors tell you, manage your stress, manage your anxiety. And once you do that, you're going to be fine because of this hormone called cortisol. Right? And believe it or not, through EFT tapping, now we have realized, and I've seen it in my own practice, how much the cortisol levels have reduced just in 1 hour of tapping, right? So there is down regulation of your heart rate comes down, your blood pressure comes down, brain function enhances. We use EFT also for children. And it's not just that children who need to be studying, but even adults who need to be focusing at work. And a lot of times we have something called brain fog. Brain fog is very common. As we age, we get that. And especially for women who are going through hormonal imbalances during menopause. So when I'm working with people in the menopause, going through that phase of their life, brain fog is a very difficult thing. And a lot of times people are not as productive in their life because of that, whether it's work or home. So EFT is one of those techniques in which we are seeing changes happening at the level of brain function, right? So how do we know all this? Because thanks to technology and science, we have something called functional MRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging, where they're able to see brain changes in action, right? So they're able to see how EFT has actually, I'm going to share a few case studies with you also today to tell you that it is working at many levels. Now, this is science to back up the fact that this modality completely works. Also, it works at the same level with our emotional, because even before we got to know that there are actual physical channels, we were thinking they are only energy meridians, are energetic channels, they're not physical channels. So we were actually seeing automatically how people were releasing their emotional burdens, long held resentments, pain, bereavements, people who have had abuse, trauma, sexual abuse, all of that, they have been able to release that very powerfully through EFT. And that's one of the studies that I'm going to be talking to you about in PTSD, which is called post-traumatic stress disorder as well. Now, just to share some of the clinical EFT improved markers, multiple physiological markers for health, which clinical EFT has helped in improving. And this is huge. Just look at the immunity marker. One of the key things that gets suppressed when you're going through stress, anxiety, panic, difficulty in your life, any emotional burden, whether it's bereavement or any kind of trauma, is that your stress suppresses your immune system. And we know about the importance of immune system because we have all come through an intense period of COVID, right? So if our immunity is down, no matter how many multivitamins you pop, unless you're able to release your stressor at the level of its root cause, your immune system will not strengthen. So immune system markers going up by 113% is almost path-breaking to understand this. Cortisol, you have understood. Pain going down. There is an opioid crisis happening in the world where people are addicted to their pain medication, right? Chronic pain management. I'm not saying you're going to go off your medications, but even if you can bring them down, if you can manage your pain, even by 20% reduction, which we have seen in pain medication, that's huge, right? And look at the scores of your joys and happiness. Now, this is very important. We say it very, almost like very frivolously, oh, happiness, joyness. But for somebody who's going through a life crisis, whether it's a financial crisis, whether it is a health crisis or a relationship crisis, to be able to have a better quality of life where they can start to feel hopeful again. They can start to feel joyful again. They have confidence in themselves that, no, I can do it. I can make it in my life. That is huge. So this is all that our EFT is actually shown that it can achieve. And these are all actually researched evidences that I'm sharing with you. Now, understanding what does EFT actually include? As I said, we have certain energetic endpoints. Now, these are the meridians that I was talking to you about. These were called the channels, energy meridians in traditional Chinese medicines, right? We have got something like the small intestine, the triple heater, large intestine, stomach, all of those, right? Now, we are tapping at the end point of these meridians. So like if you look at where my cursor is, this is the end point of that meridian just below your pupil of your eye. It's always on the bone. It's never on the soft tissues. This is where this stomach meridian ends, right? And in fact, when I talk about the fact that Roger Callahan, who started the thought field therapy, was working on one of his patients who had crippling stomach conditions, gut problems. And she had severe anxiety and phobia. She was actually severe water phobia as well. So he started with tapping there. It's the base of your eyes. That's the point where the stomach meridian ends. And these are the various points that we will tap on. When you are learning to do EFT, you tap on various of these points: top of the head, side of the eyes, eyebrow point. And those of you who are familiar with EFT, you might be knowing these points, but those of you who are learning it, this is what actually happens. So tapping actually, as I was telling you, is creating certain changes in the electrical signal of the body, and that's what is getting transmitted. And it is then creating. Along with tapping, what's important is the phraseology, the words that you speak. Because as we discussed, that is what is changing, either upregulating or downregulating some things in your brain, in your nervous system. So the changes that are happening are not just in your physiology, in your physical body, but they are actually also happening at the level of the brain. And that's what all the fMRI studies are telling us, right? So this is just an example where I'm talking about. This is how, under the eye point, which is the stomach meridian, and it is associated with emotions also. Emotions of disgust, criticism, disappointment, doubt, bitterness, right? And here we release a lot of things like anxiety, emptiness, resentment. So this is how every point that we're going to be talking about will have an associated emotion and a location associated. Now, understanding what are the applications. As I was discussing with you, the research is very robust, but applications, and this is something which I'm not saying from the literature available, this is directly from my experience of working with patients. I have worked with EFT for a lot of my patients and my clients, and I found immense improvement in these specific modalities, right? Pain management, chronic health challenges like insomnia, gut issues. So many of us are addicted to what we call proton pump inhibitors or antacids. We are being told that, you have to have your antacid religiously, otherwise you're going to get acidity. You're going to feel GERD or gastroesophageal reflux disease, all of these conditions. And though we know that whenever we are stressed and anxious, our acidity levels go up. We know that our pain also goes up. We know that we are feeling bad in the body, but we have never done anything to work at that level. So when we learn EFT, it's actually tackling this at these many levels. I've had many testimonials of clients, where they have discussed this, that how much they have gone off or reduced their medication. Now, understand one thing, that I'm going to be talking to you about a workshop that I'm going to be teaching the EFT in. Never ever will we reduce the medication on our own. Once you learn the protocols, when you start practicing it, if you're starting to feel better, you always go and talk to your physicians, your consultants, your medical staff. And once you have told them that I'm feeling better, can I now reduce the dosage? It's always in consent with them. We never ever tamper with medication just by ourselves. That's just a small disclaimer. But insomnia, huge relief with the ability to sleep properly at night, right? Releasing emotional burdens, crippling fear. People live with fear, phobias, anxieties, nervousness, and many other things, right? It could be a traumatic past. It could be fear of the future. All of these we think are not impacting our physical body. But if I just ask you to think of an incident in your life when you were deeply traumatized or deeply upset, there are times when you will start narrating it, you'll start feeling the palpitations. Your ears, your eyes may get welled up. You might start feeling a redness around your cheeks, around your ears. Why is that happening? Because that memory has become a muscle. It's got stored in your body, right? And it has the power to create changes in your physical reality, right? So we all experience it, but we have never done anything to release it. This is how it helps. I'm going to be talking about stress, anxiety, and self-sabotage just in a moment. Just as I talked to you about DNA, this is something very powerful. I want you to understand that we think a lot of our conditions are genetic. We are being told that this runs in your genes. But now we have understood that there's another science that is involved, which is called epigenetics. Epigenetics is telling us that you are not a victim of your genes. Just because your parents or your grandparents or something runs your family doesn't mean you'll necessarily have it. What is more important is your ability to switch on or switch off a gene, right? And what a gene expresses, right? Every gene will express something. Like if you have blue eyes or if you have black eyes, that's because you have a gene that has created that. So that's called the expression of that gene. So now we are seeing that the studies that have come up, which are mind-boggling, they're telling us that actually by doing the EFT tapping, we are changing the genetic expression. That's huge. You know, it's almost like there are certain genes which are getting upregulated for immunity, and inflammatory genes are getting downregulated. And my friends, let me tell you, all our conditions like strokes, heart conditions, cardiovascular, diabetes are because there is inflammatory markers in the body, high inflammatory markers. Inflammation is one of the key causes for our illnesses in the body, right? A dysregulatory inflammatory response. So these genes are actually turning down certain things and turning up certain things, right? So this is for you to now understand that a modality that you can learn on your own is actually creating impact at the level of your genes, if only you commit to it. And once you do that, the changes in the studies that we have seen are quite permanent. You know, you do not go back to that level. One of the such studies that was done was on overweight adults, you know, with severe food cravings, right? So when somebody is obese or overweight, there are multiple reasons for that. But one of the reasons for which these researchers did the EFT was craving to eat food. Because automatically, if your food craving goes down, you will not eat that thing. Your food in consumption reduces, and automatically your weight management enhances. Now, in this study, I just want you to look at the slide. Now, this is the areas, the yellow, orange, and red. These are the active areas where when the food craving, and so this is fMRI studies, actually people were shown images of food and the cravings were elicited. They was made to crave those foods. This is pre and this is post EFT. If you can see that in the group that received EFT to manage cravings, there is literally no areas of activation of cravings in the brain, versus a group that is a control group. When we are doing research, we have a group which is the active group, which is using the modality, and there's always a control group. This is to show the validity of the research. Same thing was done to other people, but not EFT. They were a control group. They were even done something else or nothing at all. In the control group, you can see that the yellow, orange, and red areas are still active, pre that and after that also, right? This is the control group. And if you compare this with this, you can see massive reduction in the cravings for the people. And this had massive impact because not just cravings got reduced, people were also noticing that there was a stress factor. When you're stressed, when you're anxious, you tend to overeat. You need to have more cravings. As the EFT was being done, their stress levels came down. That's why EFT is considered to be one of the key stress management protocols now. The Veteran Stress Project. Now, this was something that was done with war veterans, right? And they had something called PTSD, trauma from the war. And they were experiencing crippling traumatic, PTSDs, post-traumatic stress disorders. Now, following this, there was 60% to 40% reduction in so many of these markers. Stress, inflammation, nightmares, flashbacks, anxiety, depression. These are crippling. A person cannot live their life when they're going through that, right? And the significant reduction again in the stress hormone. So this now I want you to understand that the modality that we are talking about is thoroughly researched. And it is very, very, I would say for all of us at this point in our life, very, very enabling to understand that we are not alone. There is a modality that we can do to help ourselves. Ashish, something has just happened where I'm not able to share. It says host has disabled the thing. So yeah, thank you. So this is the impact that we can see of our EFT. Now, EFT can be obviously done individually, like you learn to do it on your own, which is great. But now the studies are telling us that when we are doing it as a group, like we are all here as a group, The group tapping is reducing the cortisol level by 43%. So there is something that is happening in the group that is creating a very deep impact, deeper than individual tapping. Group EFT tapping is doing that. It is the reason for that is unknown, but the fact that there is, if you can see here, I have put in a very small window here from 24% to almost 43%. That's a huge shift in doing it in a group setting, right? So this is these were some of the science and statistics. I know I had to really rush you through them, but the importance of doing it as a group and then to learn it and do it individually, I cannot stress how powerful it is. So the workshop that we are going to be talking about, we are going to be discussing the EFT protocol, how it's done, how we go about it in detail in a workshop that's coming up in August itself. The aim and objectives of this workshop would be actually to understand the protocol. So once you understand this, like I have had patients who have done it for, because I work very extensively in the field of cancer care and chronic health conditions. They have learned it to manage their anxieties about taking, chemotherapy. And once they have successfully come out of that, now they're using EFT when they're going to a dental clinic. They have to be sitting on the anxiety during a dental procedure. They are just able to tap it for that. So it's a very transferable skill. So once you understand the mind-body connection, once you understand the protocol, and the biggest thing is to understand that every physical condition has an emotional impact, right? And every emotion is stored in the body. So we work both ways, right? And we also understand that a lot of times our emotions, our life experiences have created something which we call a sabotage for ourselves, self-sabotage. So this workshop that we're going to be talking about will obviously focus on pain, physical health issues. It will also focus on something which we call self-sabotage. Now, what is self-sabotage? Self-sabotage is the feeling that, oh, I am an imposter. I don't deserve to be where I am in life. I don't deserve money. I am not smart enough. I may have got the degrees, but I'm not smart enough. Even for those people who don't have degrees, sometimes we feel only somebody with very high flying Ivy League degree is smart. All of these are come under the imposter syndrome, where you feel I'm not good enough. I don't deserve anything good in my life, whether it's a promotion, financial package, or joy or love. Procrastination. A lot of us suffer from procrastination. We keep thinking things through, but we never do action. So all of these things, a lot of them have roots in our life experiences, but we don't understand that we are the ones who are sabotaging ourselves. And because of that, we have certain financial challenges. We are not progressing at work. We are not able to access abundance of wealth, right? We are feeling small. We are feeling suffocated. And that could be also because, a lot of our beliefs are limiting. That, you have heard people tell you as a child that, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to work very hard. Some of us even have been told that it's not, being very rich is not good for you. It makes you an unkind person. All of these limiting beliefs sabotage us. And then sometimes you realize, why have I hit a brick wall in my finances, in my life, in my growth, career growth, professional growth, right? And a lot of times, one of the biggest things I work with is women who are homemakers. They think, oh, I don't have a degree. I don't work. I don't go out to work and get, so I can never be financially abundant. Understanding that abundance has got nothing to do with what you do or you don't do. It's a mindset. Whether you're coming from a mindset of lack or you're coming from a mindset of abundance, that's what the difference is. So whether we are working at whatever level, this is what we have to understand. We can release these blockages from our energy meridian channels, which we now know are not just energy, they're physical as well, right? So all of this plus children, this is a huge space. I've worked with children. They are amazing with EFT. Children have a lot of issues these days. They are stressed out. They have anxiety. They have competition. Many times children are living in very hostile conditions, like parents are not getting along, or parents have very difficult expectations from them. Children are going through bullying at school. There is a lot of bullying happening between children. There could be difficulties getting settled in a school environment. So the children have a very different set of problems, and they're not very vocal about it. They don't know how to express it, but they kind of express it unknowingly in their behavior. Don't eat well. They're not able to focus and study. They're not able to sleep well. They become recluse. They withdraw from the life. So with children, EFT works like a charm. So if you're joining our workshop that we're going to be doing, you can learn how to work with your children as well, right? We will be talking about certain things called surrogate tapping. In all of that, you'll learn how to work with your children. If you have children, you can even, we can even talk about them coming on board and being a part of the workshop where they can learn. Obviously, it will be very age dependent. We'll talk about that, but you yourself can help them once you learn it, right? So this is a huge space that we can do. Now, this workshop is going to be in 4 parts. There are 4 sessions planned, which we call modules. So 3 modules plus a bonus session. Any of you who is interested, please take a screenshot of this. And Ashish will be talking more about this as well. Module 1 will be about the EFT protocol, which itself is the foundation. What do we say? How do we say? What do we do? And we're going to tackle stress and anxiety and panic in module 1. In module 2, it's going to be understanding the emotional component of stress and anxiety and the physical management, whether it's pain, whether it's other symptoms. Like I've worked for many different symptoms. I've worked for frozen shoulder. There's so many modalities, acid in the stomach, reducing the gastric acid production, or harmonizing it rather. There's so many things that you can actually use this for. And then module 3 is going to be focusing on sabotage. How do you get over sabotaging yourself, being your own worst enemy? How do we release those limiting beliefs? How we release those traumas that have been happening in our life, right? And then how do we move towards abundance? How do we create an abundant mindset? And money is only a part of that mindset. There is so much more to the abundance that we're going to be talking about. So we are going to be covering 3 main areas in these 3 modules, and plus a bonus session where we're going to be doing miracle tapping. It's called the miracle EFT tapping, right? You become a miracle magnet. So these are all the modules that are planned, but in between this, there'll be things that will be shared with you. Between the modules, these are going to be online on Zoom. The sessions will be recorded as well. But between the sessions, I'm going to share with you more recordings. I'm going to help you with more material to go through with these aspects. So it's going to be a very rich and a vibrant community and a group that we are going to be creating and a vibe that we are going to be creating to learn, to practice, and then see the changes. And as we know that group EFT tapping is very powerful. So that's what we are intending to do and achieve here. Now, the requirements now are also expected from the participants, where you really would want to now move to the next level in your life. You really want to say that I've had enough of this, enough of working and living at this level of vibration. I want to now go beyond, to get, to understanding that life is limitless. We are very abundant, but how do I access that? So you need to have that desire that I can do this, right? And with that energy and with that attitude, learning, trying, and, being committing to the practices. Because they say that, the proof of it lies in the pudding, eating the pudding. So you have to try it, practice it, and then see where you need more help. So it's a very committed group, and that's where we see the changes happen. And obviously, it's a new skill that you're going to be learning. So it's going to anyways help your neuroplasticity a lot. And this is something then which you can help your own children with. So if you are ready for this, then, over to Ashish to tell you how to join the workshop. But this is something which I'm quite excited to offer and share with you all that I have been teaching and doing with my patients and clients over many years now. So thank you so much. And over to you, Ashish.
Thank you, Dr. Nupur, for sharing about EFT. And while I'm pulling up my slides, if you could address a question that we got in the chat, what is cortisol?
So cortisol is a hormone that is produced by adrenal glands. It is meant to help us to survive which is called the fight or flight. It's a sympathetic nervous system, helps us to keep alive. It's called the fight or flight response. So when you are in a crisis situation, suppose when our ancestors were hunter gatherers, they had see a tiger. Now, when you see a tiger, either you can run away from it, or if it's like really close to you, then you can attack it. So what that survival response comes from cortisol. Now, cortisol is also very important in the functioning of our human body, but the problem happens when it is a chronic response. When the stress becomes chronic, when cortisol spikes up a lot, that's a stress response, and it has impact on our blood vessels. It has impact on our digestion. It shuts down certain parts because it tells the body you're in a survival mode. So if you're in a survival mode, you need more energy in your limbs. You need to run faster. At that time, the digestion is not needed. So digestion shuts down, right? Thinking is not that important. Creative thinking is not that important. So what happens? You need to breathe better, hyperventilate. So a lot of things happen, and this is what we're going to be discussing at length in our workshop. But understand, just for you to know, cortisol is important for us to function, to survive. But the problem happens is when we are in a chronic state of stress, anxiety, forever the pedal, literally think of it as your foot being on the accelerator, pressing it all the time. That's when the cortisol becomes counterproductive. It causes cardiovascular conditions for us, right? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nupur. And thank you, everybody who has joined us and stayed with us so far. The next 30 minutes of the session will be for those who want to take action and take their life to the next level. So if I have your permission to share details about the workshop, please type P in the chat box so that I know I have your permission to share about the workshop that we have put together for you. Thank you, Mukesh. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Hassan Ali. Thank you, Manjeet. Thank you, Purnima. Thank you, friends. Please keep your responses coming in, and I'll move forward and share the slides which have the details about our workshop. How many of you have seen a bumblebee, banging against the window in a room trying to get out? If you have seen a bumblebee trying to get out of a room, type BB in the chat box. The bee enters the room and is trying to find its way out. It gets attracted to the light, goes to the window, and it's banging its head against it. And it keeps doing that as till it has got the energy. Eventually, it gets tired. Yes, Mukesh, absolutely. Wasps, insects, everything. It gets tired, dehydrated, and then dies. The sad part is the bumblebee does not turn around and see that the door was wide open, and it could have just flown out of the door. And friends, while it is so obvious for us in the case of bumblebee, it is not so obvious to us when it comes to our own lives. And that is what Albert Einstein says is insanity, doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. Like the bumblebee, which is just banging its head against and again on the window and trying to be able to find a way to get out and fly free. A lot of you got attracted to the image that we have of flying free, breaking free. And so we need to do something different. And what is it that we need to do different to get different results in our life? And that is investing your time and investing your money in learning new skills that Dr. Nupur mentioned about, which is emotional freedom technique. The investment of time that is required is 6 hours. 4 sessions of 1.5 hours each on 17th, 20th, and 24th August, plus one bonus session. The date of the bonus session will be announced on or before 24th of August. The time for the sessions is 9 to 10:30 p.m. on Thursdays, which is what we see works very well for our participants because they can wrap up their activities for the day and come for the session in an undistracted state of mind. And 4:30 to 6 p.m. on Sundays is a downtime. It's after lunch, before your evening plans. So, this works very well for most of our participants. You can take a screenshot of this for your reference. And the money investment that is required, I'm going to be sharing in a while. But before that, I would like to ask you, what is the difference between expense and investment. If anybody would like to type in the chat, what is the difference between expense and investment? Or if you would like to unmute and speak. Or let me ask you another question, is investing in your own training and learning and development, is it an expense or is it an investment? Thank you, Meghna. Expense, no returns, absolutely. And Mukesh, thank you for sharing. So investment in training is an investment because it's not an expense. What you spend does not come back to you, no returns. But when you invest in your own training and development, the returns keep coming to you, over your lifetime. So that is the investment of money that is required. And all our programs, I have been a corporate professional myself, so I understand the importance of having high return on investment. And so the money investment that is required is for a single session. If you want to drop in and check out, whether this program is the right one for you, it is 3499. If you want to come in for the full program, it is 3 sessions plus 1 bonus session that Dr. Nupur mentioned about. It is 5,999. And if you want to have a 1:1 coaching session with Dr. Nupur, it is 9,999. Though we create a safe space in our sessions for people to share, sometimes there are issues people have which they only want to discuss with Dr. Nupur. And that is the reason we provide this window of opportunity for people to have 1:1 coaching sessions. Normally, the fees for a coaching session with Dr. Nupur is £100, but here for less than £100 or about £100, you get not only 1:1 coaching session, but also the whole workshop. So this is quite a no-brainer actually. And if you would like to invest and go ahead and enroll for this awesome workshop, you can Google Pay or Paytm Ruchi at the numbers which are mentioned here. And all these sessions are live on Zoom. These are not pre-recorded sessions. And that is the reason we have completion rates of 95%. You may find programs which are there on many other channels, which cost a fraction of the fees that we are charging for this program. But then the completion rates are like 5%, 10%. People sign up, but they never complete. But here, because it's a community, it's a live session, there are a lot of activities, high energy in between the sessions, everybody is engaged and the completions of the sessions is very, very high. So you get full bang for your buck. Sometimes people ask us, what if I am traveling or if I have a prior commitment? In that case, anyway, the recording of the session is shared with you. It's shared in the closed group for you to refer, and you can use the question. You can use the group to ask any questions if you have, or use the bonus session to connect with the faculty and get your doubts clarified. When is the next one? The next one will probably be in August 24. The last one we did was in August 22. This is a workshop we hold in August, and this is our third one because the response we have been getting for the EFT workshops is phenomenal. So this is in fact our first workshop which we are doing for the third time in a row in the month of August. So don't wait for the next one. Sign up in case you are interested, in case you think this is going to help you, which it will. Whether the challenges you have are emotional challenges or health challenges or financial prosperity challenges, this works amazingly across all the areas. I have tried myself. Dr. Nupur has shared so many testimonials from our patients. This works. We will share some resources with you. You can do your own research. Don't go by what we are saying. Do your own research and see whether EFT tapping is something that will work for you or not. And in case you feel that you sign up for the program and that this doesn't work for you for any reason, come back to us and we will refund the money, no questions asked. It has so happened that, after signing up for the program, there have been a change in the, some people had to travel and they could not, and we just refunded the money. So these are the details for you once again. Single session investment of 3,499, 3 sessions plus 1 session 5,999, and with coaching 3 sessions plus 1 bonus and 1:1 session 9,999. And I will request Dr. Nupur to once again share details about what is going to be covered in these 3 sessions.
Right. So these 3 sessions are going to be for 1.5 hours each. So it's a 90-minute duration. The module 1 is about the protocol. We learn extensively the protocol. We're also going to be learning the advanced protocol, which is called the 9 gamuts technique. A lot of times people only understand the tapping on points, but we're going to learn the detailed one, the normal one, and as well as the fast EFT. So we are going to learn variations of EFT. And there's going to be stress and anxiety management. As we know now that cortisol is such an important factor, stress is so important. Whether we are, even with obesity, whether we are facing anything, emotional, physical, mental, stress has to be taken care of. And understanding in module 2, we go to the physical and the emotional aspect. We understand that every physical problem has an emotional aspect. We release the emotional baggage and burden, and we work with pain and symptom management. And you may say that, oh, maybe I have knee problem and somebody else who comes has shoulder problem. Somebody else who comes may have cardiac problem. Now, it doesn't matter what problem you have, but the point is once you understand the protocol, once you understand the application and how it works, you can then use it for your own individual condition, right? So that's the power of learning it. So tomorrow you may have a toothache, which you may not be able to access healthcare for immediately. Then how do you use this for that? You may have inability to sleep at some point. So how do you use? So it's about understanding the basic foundational principle. And of course, we will be doing a group EFT tapping in each module. And then there'll be a module 3, which will be focusing on sabotage. We'll understand what is self-sabotage. We'll understand how we all have been doing that to some extent, and understanding what can we do to change our mindset from a mindset of lack, a mindset of not enough, to a mindset of abundance, and obviously having implications on then money. So we're going to be doing tapping on money, but separately from abundance. They're two different things. And then we are going to do a bonus session where we are going to generally understand how can we tap to invite synchronicities of life, magic in life, coincidences, which we call, So all of that is what we're going to be doing in bonus session. So bonus session is something that will be for you. It typically is for 2 hours because we discuss the participants' problems. Obviously, we'll be doing it in every module also, but bonus session is more for, we give a gap in bonus session because we want you to practice it all. Then your challenges we discuss, and then I'm going to be focusing on the becoming magnetic, so that's what the bonus session is all about. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Nupur. Moving on, sharing the details for the remitting the fees, once again for your reference. And in case you would like to pay by credit card, which is an option many of our community members like to avail of, then this is the link. We will also be sharing this link in the chat so that you can use the credit card option to remit the fees. And just a minute. And the advantage of doing programs with Mindful Living is that you have access to the trainer 24/7. And, we keep inviting awesome speakers every weekend to speak to us. Here are some of the speakers who have been featured in Harvard Business Review case studies. Somebody who was grown their business 400%, somebody who's grown their business 1,000 times, somebody who's on the board of multiple companies. So these are the kind of speakers, world-class speakers we keep inviting every weekend for you to benefit on. So this is an additional bonus. And plus you have the access to the speaker who's part of, normally you attend a training session and you never ever see the trainer again. But here the trainer is from our community. So you have access to the trainer all the 365 days. And as you are aware, we take very limited number of people in a session. So the number of intake for this program is limited to 20. So please hurry up and join the program. There is a question, Dr. Nupur, from Swati, what is done in 1:1 session? So maybe you could take that in as you move forward. So this is the details for the fees once again, or by credit card. In case you would like to make a bank transfer, these are the numbers. We have shared them in the chat. And for the action takers who joined today, there is a very attractive Mindful Living t-shirt, which is the one I'm also wearing. Very nice, very high quality fabric we use for getting these t-shirts done. These are worth 1,400 rupees. And for those who join today, will be eligible to get this t-shirt. Once you remit the fees, share the screenshot with us, and we will share a form with you, which will have the details of the color and the size that you can choose, your address, so that we can have this shipped across to you. So that's that. And we now open up the session for Q&A. Hassan, you have a question?
Wife wanted to get, but I'm doing that EFT from other motivational speakers. So, and we also wanted to have one.
Hassan, we can't hear you very well. I don't know. Are you able to hear Hassan well?
Hassan, there is some issue with your network. Maybe you could keep your camera off so that we can hear you better.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, please try now.
Yeah, actually, my wife would like to go with the session for 9999, including the one-to-one session with Dr. Nupur. And my two questions is there. I'm doing. I have discussed with Dr. Nupur also that I'm doing this EFT from other motivational speakers, because I don't want that it should be mixed, you know. But I'm interested to understand and join this session along with my wife. So as in like I can sit with my wife to join and just to understand and to get more deeper knowledge from Dr. Nupur. And she would like to go with the one-to-one session. So I'm interested to pay 999. So just wanted your confirmation whether I have to pay 10 or I have to pay more, because I just wanted to understand and learn from Dr. Nupur.
Yeah, so Hassan, we will definitely get back to you about that. Obviously, your wife is very welcome. What do we do in one-on-one session? First of all, let me answer that. Now, one-on-one session is the workshop by itself has 4 parts. So it'll be 3+1. But if you want to sign up for something which we call the private coaching also, that is one-on-one session, a lot of times people have certain things that they can't open up about in a group setup, or they want to go specifically deeper. They want more guidance that I would want to understand. How do I unpack this problem in my life? How do I do that? So for that is when we advise one-on-one session. And a lot of us may not have got help of coaches and therapists in our life. But once you start discussing your problem with somebody you trust, you gain 10 times more than, your time invested, because it takes you to a very different level. That's why whether it's Olympic athletes or anybody who's high performing has a coach in their life. So that's the value that a one-to-one interaction brings to your life. Now, Hassan, I have learned EFT from 5 different teachers, believe it or not. I have 5 teachers. I have learned EFT. I've been on this journey for 10 years. And every teacher brings a very unique perspective. I'm grateful to all my teachers. And all of my teachers have brought about a very unique perspective, because some teachers are more focused on the spiritual dimension. Some teachers are more focused on the emotional. Some teachers are more focused on the physical. So every person has their own style of teaching. And I have been blessed to learn it from the best and almost from 5. And as I was thinking, probably there are 6. So understand that this is something that you will gain from only, because every person brings in a different dimension. And specifically, I resonate more with people who are left-brained, who are very logic, analysis, and critically oriented, because I bring in research. So for them, the skeptics usually get gravitated more towards my workshops, because it is all riddled with science and evidence. And, that's how I am. I think that's what my personality is also. So, you will get a very different perspective from here. And of course, yes, we would love to see you on the workshop as well, Hassan. So I'm sure Ashish will help you with that query, which you have. Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hassan. Thank you for that question. And we welcome you and your wife to the program. Anybody else has a question? We'll be happy to take that.
Ashish,
And, yeah,
Ashish ji, Sanjay here. I wanted to join the program.
yes,
Participate in the program.
yes.
This account, Mindful Living, is it the account name or OM Mindfulness Private Limited?
Om Mindfulness is the account name. Mindful Living is just the brand which we have put there so that you don't get confused that it's of some other company. It's Om Mindfulness. The bank account is Om Mindfulness.
Okay, right. Thank you. I will change that. And secondly, I got two Thursdays. Some commitment is also there. That is why. Anyway, I will try to attend. There is maybe some clash with because both fall on Thursday, 17th and 24th. Sunday is fine. Anyway,
Okay.
I will and the bonus session will be again on a Sunday, right?
Yes. So bonus session, I will do my best to put it on a Sunday. So most likely it will be on a Sunday, but with Sunday we'll have to decide. I might give you a little longer gap. So
Right.
yeah, the date has to be decided. And also they will be recording, Sanjay, so don't worry. If you miss something, then try and see if you can, be present, which is great.
Yes.
But otherwise they'll be recording, as you know, all the time.
Yeah, I know, but it's always better to attend.
Yes. So if you can wriggle your schedule around this just doesn't happen, very often. So just try and see if you
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I will.
can. Thank you.
I'm joining.
Yeah. Thank you for, I think it's the Hassan Ali who has remitted the fees. Yes, thank you, Hassan Ali. Welcome to the program. I just wanted to clarify the T-shirts are for delivery. We include delivery in India. Hassan Ali, so either you need to give me the address in India or you need to bear the shipping to Qatar. So you let me know which way it works for you. There is a question, Dr. Nupur, whether EFT is the same as NLP.
Not at all. NLP is a small subset of EFT, but they are very different. EFT, as I said, is tapping on acupuncture, acupressure, energy meridian endpoints. It's tapping on it's physical. Neurolinguistic programming is using visions, pictures, and using your mental imagery. So there are components of NLP in EFT, but EFT as itself is a very different modality. Right. So yes, of course, as I teach, I will teach the power of visualization. I will teach the power of using the ability to use language and proprioceptory responses, which is what NLP is about, but no, they're very different. Yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Dr. Nupur. Any other questions? Yes.
Any other questions? All right. I think we are done for the day. So thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, you can always
Yeah,
post
we'll be
them.
sharing. Some of you requested for the recording, so we'll be sharing the recording over an email. Stay glued on to the emails from Mindful Living, and the recording will be shared with you. And all the details of the workshop will also be shared with you. Once again, in case you're interested in the beautiful T-shirt that I'm wearing, take action today. Otherwise, the workshop enrollments are open till Wednesday. You can take the decision and join till Wednesday. Thank you, Hassan. Thank you, everybody, for joining the session. Thank you, Dr. Nupur, for a very wonderful session.
Thank you, everybody. Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.
And you can unmute yourself and make some noise on your way out.
Awesome.
Great session, Nupur. It's always a very great pleasure to hear you out, and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay.